195 to go. March 12, 1965. Dearest Suzie, I got my birthday present today, and I really like it. Of course, I don't have any need for it over here, but it will come in handy when I get home. I really do like it. How in the world did you ever hurt your back? I'm real sorry to hear that you're having trouble with it, and I hope it is better now. You better learn to be careful before you break your neck. I figured Shirley would like that pin. They have them with different colored stones. I am planning to bring you a bunch of them when I come home. You are glad I'm not in Da Nang, but I'll tell you, one place in Vietnam is as bad as the other. I'm kind of glad I'm not up there either, but at least it is not so blooming hot up there. We are about to burn up down here. The heat is unbearable. We had a troop lift this morning, my first since I got to the Cobras. We took off this morning at 5 o'clock, and I went to a small town about 30 miles from here called Mok Wa. We sat on the airfield there with the reserve force until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The main body of troops were supposed to clean out an area, and they didn't run into one VC, so at 1 o'clock we were released. We went from there to the range, and I got to fire the hog. So I guess now I am going to be the platoon rocket man. Should be quite a challenge for a while. Tonight we got a call about 6 o'clock from an outpost across the river from our airfield that there was a battalion of VC in the area. So we went out and flew around there for 2 hours. We didn't find anything, though. It's about 9 o'clock now, and I'm sitting here writing this letter and listening to Radio Peking. They are a Chinese communist station, and they've been talking for the past hour about how bad Americans are and how we are over here to take over the country, and how they are going to run all American imperialists out of South Vietnam. I get a kick out of listening to them. Well, I guess I will close for now. I love you all very much. Kiss the boys for me and tell them I love them. And you take care of yourself. All my love. Bill. Today's episode is notable for its mention of Radio Peking, a Chinese communist broadcast station. Radio Peking was a key tool of Chinese propaganda during the Cold War and the Vietnam War. It targeted both American soldiers and the general public, broadcasting messages designed to undermine the U.S. military's presence in Southeast Asia. The station frequently aired hostile rhetoric, accusing the United States of imperialism and declaring that the country would be driven out of Vietnam by communist forces. In his letter, Poppy shares that he's been listening to Radio Peking as they criticize the U.S. military, calling out Americans as imperialists trying to take over the country. What's interesting is that he doesn't express anger or frustration at the station's message. Instead, he seems somewhat amused, saying, I get a kick out of listening to them. This response is fascinating because it shows how Bill, like many soldiers, might have been trying to keep a sense of humor in a situation that was anything but funny. It's a reminder that even in the midst of war, soldiers had to find ways to cope with the psychological toll of constant exposure to hostile propaganda, not to mention the stresses of daily military life. Bill's reaction also speaks to the broader psychological warfare at play during the war. While the enemy's broadcasts were designed to demoralize American troops, Bill's ability to laugh at them could be seen as a form of resilience, one of the ways soldiers maintained their mental toughness. We also know that at this point, Poppy had himself already been engaged in psychological warfare operations, flying a helicopter with speakers attached over enemy territory, blasting out pre-recorded messages. He also helped disperse propaganda pamphlets written in Vietnamese, which they released over villages, trying to encourage the general public to be on the same side as ARVN in the U.S. This letter reminds us that the war wasn't just fought on the ground, but it was also fought in the minds of the soldiers and the civilians, listening to broadcasts like Radio Peking. The messages they heard every day, whether from their superiors, the enemy, or even their own side, shaped their experience of the war, making it a battle for both the body and the mind. The photo I chose for today is one of my favorites. It's taken on a tarmac at an airfield. It depicts a group of people unloading a Medevac helicopter, placing a person into an ambulance. This is a great picture, clear and full of action. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Poppy wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.